Okay, right now we are at the end of the checkerboard pattern. We are working the purl stitches in the solid, um, just the single color. And we are at that last repeat. And if you notice, I'm only using the one color at this time. And I have started to add my markers for the repeat according to my chart. So I wanted to kind of show how to do this stitch in case you were having trouble with it. But you work a purl 3, put the yarn back, and then you just slip the white stitches, bring the yarn forward, and work the purl 3. Okay, now I'm at the end of that round. Now we are at the exciting part. This is where we get to start adding the stitches for the I'm going to leave that so my marker doesn't fall off. Okay, we're going to start adding the extra stitches, and I'm going to talk a little bit about those extra stitches. So if you look at your chart, you see red lines on that chart, and those red lines indicate where you are going to be adding the extra stitches. The extra stitches are not going to be shown in the work that's on the right side. They are only shown or visible when we look at the back. These are the stitches that we are going to be adding right now. You can see that they are attached, and they are attached to this color work section that we just finished up. So that's how we are going to attach them to the back. And then when we come upon those stitches, we are only going to be working those stitches with whatever color is being stranded. So that's what makes it not show up on the right side. So now we have to look at our chart, and you can see it there. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making a stitch with the stranded color, which in our case will be pink. I'll be working white stitches that are visible from the front, and then I will be creating the extra stitches with the fuchsia color as we go along. So on my particular chart for the size large, I'm going to be using the white, and I've got the pink that's being carried. And so when I look at my chart, I see that I knit 3 white stitches, and then I place an extra stitch because I encountered a red line on my chart. So what I do is I bring the white yarn forward. I bring the yarn that I'm working forward. The reason we do this is so it is not attached to the back. It keeps the front line or the front layer of fabric separate and not connected to the back. I hope this is clear. Now I want to make an extra stitch. In our instructions it says if you have a stitch of the same color as the next stitch, you knit into the back loop of the stitch below. Well, I do. I have a hot pink one here, so I just go to the back, put my needle in there, I knit that stitch, and then I put the yarn back. You can kind of see it, that it's going to be hidden behind. All my stitches I'm working are going to be white, so my next stitch that I work will be white. Now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get in the habit when it's time for that red line and that extra stitch to bring that working yarn forward. Now again, I have a hot pink stitch, and I'm going to make it with my stranding yarn, and I'm going to just knit through the back loop of the stitch from the row before. You want to keep these strands, just as you do in any stranded knitting, you want to keep those from getting too tight. So I make that stitch, I move this to the back, and now I knit 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm again at a pink stitch. So I bring that forward, knit through the back loop, put this to the back, and then I knit 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 3 stitches left in my repeat, and that's what I'm supposed to have, and then I will have the 3 before the next red line, so there will be 6 stitches between those 2 lines, which is just fine. That's what I expected. So here again, I bring this forward, put it through the back loop like this, and knit, and knit. And that's how you do it. I'm going to go continue knitting, and I'm going to show you what you do if you land on a white stitch, how you make your stitch look invisible. So I was supposed to knit 3 and then do my extra stitch, but I knitted 4, so I would end up with a white stitch as my next stitch. So I don't want to knit into the back of that stitch because I'm worried that the pink will show through. So what I would do here is I still bring my white forward, and then I just lift up the running thread and lift it like that. Where's my pink? It's not attached. And then I just knit through the back loop there, put it to the back, and then I would keep knitting my white. And as you can see, these stitches that are being added are very invisible. They don't break up the white, and we will go around. I'll go add all my stitches, and then I'll go around and show you what we do when we want to knit those extra stitches on the next round. Okay, now we're at the very end. I've done all of my extra stitches along here, and so I get to the end of the row, and what I'm going to do is make a slouch hat, so I'm going to add a couple of white rows. So when you look at my knitting, you can see that I do not have a white row. I have, approximately 5 stitches and a pink stitch on all of my, all the way across my row. However, what we will see when we're done knitting is we will see a solid white row. So I'll show you how you knit these stitches, and what we're going to be doing is purling those stitches through the back loop in order to create this web of stranding in the back. So as I knit across, I just knit because I'm knitting a plain white row. I don't have to really look at the chart, and I get to the colored yarn. Well, I know it's my extra stitch. I'm knitting a white row, and here's a pink stitch, so that's got to be my extra stitch. I bring the yarn forward, I bring the pink forward, and I purl through the back loop. Whenever you get to an extra stitch, you always need to just think, I need to bring the yarn forward. So now I just keep knitting. I get to the next extra stitch, bring the yarn forward, bring the pink forward, purl through the back loop. Put that one back, put that one back. Why do I do them as separate steps? Why don't I, and I'll show you when we get here, why don't I just bring them both forward at the same time? That seems like it would be faster and easier. I could just pull them forward, and here's what happens. They can get twisted. And if they twist, it will have the same effect as if we were twisting our strands and catching our floats, and you are going to see the speckles on the right side of our fabric. That is what we're trying to avoid. So this is just a safety measure. If I bring them back separately, then I know they're not going to get twisted. and I don't have to worry about it. And believe me, I know this from experience. I looked at my project and I had all these places where it had been caught, and I thought, well, how can it be caught? I've been doing the stranding technique, but I had accidentally twisted them as I brought them forward. So we just do that all the way around. And you can't see it yet because we haven't knit very much, but you can see we have a white row. And there's a white row of knitting even though I have these pink stitches there. And if we turn to the back, we see this little row starting, or these areas starting to appear that are going to start going up the back. And when you get all the way around this row, you will have stranded across 100 stitches or so without any carries showing on the front and without any of the other color being worked, and you will have gone all the way around. So when I say you can work it on any number of stitches, you will have worked it on 100 some stitches without any catches on the right side of that fabric. That's what this technique is all about.